continue with Module 7 and cover the topic of augmented and virtual reality, the range of uses for AR and VR. We will explain how AR and VR works, and we will identify unique and cross-cutting challenges associated with each application. Encountered augmented reality in your everyday life. On the left is an example of using GPS on a second screen. This may be mentally taxing and divides attention and interpretation. The idea with augmented reality is that you can then use GPS on your windshield and mentally connect images and information. Another example is in entertainment. You may have played Pokemon Go or used Snapchat filters. And something that has been coming up in research is whether this is just a bit of fun or is it a risk to mental health and privacy. Augmented reality is being used for consumer experience by blending the physical and virtual worlds. This gives an advantage for both the brands and the shoppers. Back in 2016, the firm Gartner predicted that 100 million consumers would shop using augmented reality by 2020, and that 85% of enterprises would be expected to adopt AR and VR initiatives. And the reality is much more than that. In the US alone, 81 million people interact with augmented reality for shopping on a monthly basis. Augmented reality can really benefit products, especially those that are less popular and less mainstream. But it also comes with a downside that augmented reality is usually expensive, time-consuming, and difficult to implement for the firms. Augmented reality is being used for industrial purposes, for example, to visualize features that are difficult to comprehend otherwise. Here's one particular example from this company called AccuVein, which uses a technology that converts heat signature of a vein of a patient into an image on the skin, making it easy to locate if you're, I don't know, getting your blood drawn. And they found that using the technology showed 45% fewer escalations for help. Another industrial example is for DHL's vision picking, which uses virtual reality, augmented reality, sorry, to identify where the packages are in their warehouses. And they found that productivity improved by 25%. For industrial purposes, augmented reality has some very unique challenges. The sensors and the remote sensing technology really has to be able to estimate human position very well and also be able to perceive the environment with precision. The processing speed has to be quite high, and the ergonomics of the equipment have to be well thought through. And those continue to be challenges for using augmented reality in industrial purposes. Now, switching gears to virtual reality, it has been used in various ways to try and improve quality of life, providing experiences for people who may otherwise not be able to get those experiences. So one example is from this charity in the Northern Ireland, I believe, called Brain Injury Matters. And they use virtual reality to give access to instruments to people who are living with brain injury disabilities. And here in this particular image, you can see people who are going to play with a professional orchestra using their virtual reality instruments. Virtual reality is also being used for learning. Last time we talked, we looked at the ASU biology class. Well, ASU also has virtual field trips, and this is one step removed from being fully virtual reality, but it is moving in that direction. And several studies have by now started investigating virtual reality when it's used for educational purposes, and the vast majority of those studies are finding some form of positive outcomes, especially in terms of higher performance. Virtual learning for workforce training is also something that is becoming more common. This is training employees in soft and hard skills. Um, in various studies, there has been uh, demonstrated benefits. So, for example, faster learning, less distraction, more confidence. Results also seem to show that the cost, even though it's higher at the beginning for virtual reality, ends up being equal in the long term. And in certain industries, virtual reality is something that is routinely used. So, for example, you might think about flight simulators for pilot training, many of which are now FAA approved. Now, another kind of cross-cutting type of challenge is that usually the logistics and unrealistic avatars are slowing the adoption of virtual reality in the workplace training. How are augmented reality and virtual reality operationalized? There's basically four components. It is combining visualizing, guiding, and interacting into this simulated environment. So the technology is enhancing the user's view of the physical world by using overlays of real world and hypothetical digital information. It is then training or guiding the user in how to interact, how to be within this digital world. Um, it may be instructions happening within the digital world or real-time expert guidance. And then there is the interaction that happens between the user and the digital world. So the user can manipulate the graphics, control them using this augmented reality or virtual reality interface. And all of this happens in this simulated environment. So to summarize, augmented and virtual reality are being used in a wide range of applications, including broad-scale improvement in the quality of life, entertainment, industrial processes, customer experience, and learning, amongst others. There are some cross-cutting challenges that include data privacy and cost, and then some unique challenges, for example, position estimation and processing speed. AR/VR is operationalized by combining visualization, guidance, and interaction into a simulation.